Today, we'll be comparing 4 different handstand mounts in a merciless competition to see which one comes out ahead and which one is trailing and left behind. On today's lineup, we have the kick up to handstand, the tuck up to handstand, we've got the popular straddle press to handstand, and of course, we've got the bend down press to handstand. Each skill will be judged by 5 separate criteria. We've got the technical accessibility. How technically difficult is this skill? How complex is this skill? We've got the beginner friendliness scale, or in other words, what kind of prerequisites are involved in order to do this skill. Every single one of these handstand mounts obviously requires you to be able to hold the freestanding handstand. So this detail is going to be disregarded. The confidence score will determine how scary or how intimidating athletes find this very particular mount when they first start training it, taking into consideration how quickly an athlete is usually able to break the ice. Then we're going to have a look at progressions. Are you able to learn the skill without getting stuck, or how likely is it that you're going to plateau throughout your training? Lastly, we have the probability score. How likely are you going to get up into your handstand using this particular mount every single time? At the end of this video, we'll add all the points together and we're going to crown one lucky winner. We'll be able to see which one of the mounts you should be focusing on first and why mounts might not be the right thing for you to focus on at all right now. Starting up, we have the kick up the handstand, the most popular choice for beginners. Let's see if it holds up on our ranking system. From the start, we can see straight away one major problem. The kick up to handstand is a one-sided exercise. The common technique is to kick up to the handstand with quarter circle-like momentum, trying to stop in the handstand. The problem is that you're always likely to either overshoot or undershoot, and that you're basically asking for your hips to turn out whilst you kick. Based on this, I would have to give the kick up to handstand a technical accessibility ranking of 2 out of 5. Personally, I teach the kick up quite a bit differently, where the leg that kicks upwards is already bent in the starting position, and you can simply kick the leg upwards into a single leg L. This gives all the momentum to go upwards only and not over, making it much more likely for you to actually get it right. Yet, it is still a one-sided exercise. We can therefore give a technical accessibility ranking of 3 out of 5. To do the kick up to handstand right, the athlete needs to have pretty flexible hamstrings. On the beginner friendliness score, we can therefore give a 3 out of 5 as well. Moving up, we get to the fear factor. The kick up to handstand is done by most beginners, yet it is a very dynamic mount with lots of moving parts. They can be somewhat scary and intimidating at first. Yet, most athletes are able to overcome this fear quite quickly. I therefore give it a confidence score of 3 out of 5 as well. There are lots of progressions to choose from when working towards the kick up to handstand. We have L single leg isolation, L single leg tuck, L walk up, L kick ups at the wall, partial kick ups to handstand. Honestly, the list is long and it is almost impossible to plateau. Yet, we can still not give it 5 out of 5 stars because you still have to bridge going from the wall into the freestanding handstand. And this is often a little bit more difficult due to the fear factor. Progressions, 4 out of 5. Due to the fact that most athletes unfortunately do not use my technique, the kick up to handstand turns into an extremely unstable handstand mount. For most athletes, this does not work more often than it actually does. The probability score therefore falls to 2 out of 5. Overall, the kick up to handstand scores a solid 15 out of 30 points. This is 50% of the available points, and the kick up to handstand takes the first spot on our ranking for now. Let's see if it's able to defend this position. Next up, we have the tuck mount to handstand. Whilst it is the less popular choice, it is also significantly less technical. The idea is to use the tuck to align the hips with the already aligned hands and shoulders, and then to simply shoot straight up. It's not too complicated, with not too much room for errors. On a technical accessibility, we can give the tuck mount to handstand a whopping 4 out of 5 points. Jumping into the tuck means you have to be able to hold the tuck, which is for many athletes either very difficult or extremely easy. If the tuck is easy for you, congratulations. Simply jump to the tuck and hold it there. You have found the perfect mount for you. If tucks are rather hard for you, this mount would be close to impossible, and the beginner friendliness score would be a 2 or possibly even a 1 out of 5. Good thing we don't actually have to hold the tuck and therefore end up with practically no prerequisites. Beginner friendliness, 5 out of 5. Athletes do find the tuck mount rather scary at first, and it can take some time to break the ice. On the confidence score, the tuck mount can only secure 2 out of the available 5 points. Practice tuck slides on the back and at the wall. Practice tuck jumps to a handstand, and lower 2 tucks at the wall before practicing partial tuck mounts. Make sure you never move your shoulders. There are plenty of progressions available, making it hard to plateau. Yet, you still have to move from the wall into your open space, which is intimidating. 4 out of 5 points. Technically simple, and with that, far superior than other mounts, the tuck jump can be highly consistent once learned. Yet, it is still a dynamic mount though, leaving some room for errors. 4 out of 5 points on the probability score. Overall, the tuck jump to handstand is able to secure a whopping 19 out of the 30 points, snatching the pole position away from the kick up to handstand. But we have 2 more contestants left. Let's see if the tuck jump to handstand will be able to defend against the straddle press and the bend down press to handstand. Everyone loves the press to handstand, and everybody wants to learn the press to handstand. There's doing a press to handstand, and there's doing a press to handstand nicely. A nice press is possibly the hardest thing that you can do in a handstand. It is extremely technical, and it requires loads of coordination and awareness. Over my past years of coaching, I've come to understand that doing a really nice press to handstand is technically comparable to possibly even learning the one-arm handstand. Technical accessibility for the press to handstand, 1 out of 5. For the takeoff moment, you're gonna need advanced shoulder strength. For the compression part, you're gonna need hip flexor and core strength. To get your hips up on top, you're gonna need shoulder and lower back mobility and strength. The more flexible your hamstrings are, the less of all of the strength you're gonna need. As you can see, the shopping list of prerequisites is pretty long, which is why on a beginner friendliness score, the press to handstand can only receive 1 out of the possible 5 points. Training for the press to handstand will take quite some time. For our next ranking criteria, this is almost a good thing, as you're going to be able to get very comfortable with the press to handstand. Throughout my entire career as a coach, I have not once met an athlete who was scared of doing the press to handstand. Confidence score, a solid 5 out of 5. There are countless amazing progressions and exercises, such as the back to wall press, the chest to wall press, the band assisted press, and many, many more. They will all help you to learn the press, and if combined in a smart and well calculated way, you're gonna get your press. You're gonna learn the press. Yet, the press to handstand is still the skill where I see most athletes plateau and eventually give up. On the progression scale, we can therefore unfortunately only give 2 out of the possible 5 points. Once you're able to press the handstand, you're going to be able to make it up quite consistently. The cleaner your presses, the more technical your presses, the less you're going to be able to rely on strength, and the more consistent your press is going to get. Yet, no matter how clean your press is, when you get too tired, you're not going to be able to press anymore. So you're still not going to make it up every single time, 10 out of 10 times. On the probability score, the press to handstand is going to be able to secure 4 out of the possible 5 points. Overall, the press to handstand is only able to secure 13 out of the possible 30 points, trailing behind on the very last position. Last but not least, we have the bend down press to handstand. A handstand entry especially popular with male athletes who are more interested in the calisthenics way of life. The idea is for the hips to come up as the upper body lowers down. Then you extend and you push up. Getting the hips up first requires the back to engage. Holding your handstand after requires to extend the arms slowly and in the right direction. This is honestly not too technical and can theoretically be done by pretty much anybody. Technical accessibility, 3 out of 5. Unfortunately, this truly can only be done in theory by everybody, as there is one clear prerequisite. For the bend down press to handstand, you have to be able to do a handstand push-up, which is a fairly advanced skill. On a beginner friendliness scale, we can therefore only give 1 out of the possible 5 points. The bend down press to handstand is truly only scary when the athlete is too weak and not ready yet to perform the skill. An athlete at the right level usually has no ice to break here. Confidence score, 4 out of 5. There are countless progressions to get good at bend down presses. We have weighted shoulder presses, pike push-ups, dead L handstand push-ups with elevated hands, back to the wall handstand push-ups, chest to the wall handstand push-ups, partial handstand push-ups, and so many more. The only possible reason why anyone would ever plateau on their way to the bent arm press is due to a lack of creativity. Progressions, 4 out of 5. Due to its technical simplicity, the bent arm press pretty much always works once you're able to do it. But we have to deduct 1 point, as you will not be able to make it up if you're too tired. Probability score, 4 out of 5. Overall, the bent arm press is able to secure 16 points in total. Having a look at our leaderboard, the tuck handstand mount is the clear winner here, with the bent arm press as a runner-up, assuming you can build the needed shoulder strength. The kick up to handstand, and I'm guessing this is to everyone's surprise, does come in on a close third, with the press to handstand being left behind due to its technical difficulty. In our competition today, we had 2 separate types of handstand mounts. We had dynamic mounts and we had strength-based mounts. Dynamic mounts have a blind spot and are therefore significantly harder than holding a static handstand. You're supposed to create the right amount of momentum to throw yourself into a position that you're not yet very comfortable at. Non-dynamic mounts do not have a blind spot, but they are difficult because they require advanced strength, flexibility, and control. Assuming you'll continue to train handstand, then it actually doesn't really make any sense to work on your dynamic mounts until your handstands are actually quite good. Let me explain. Let's say your handstand is currently at this level. To make it up with your dynamic mount, you have to be at this level. So your dynamic mount needs to be this precise. Your mount needs to be outstanding. Timing, amount of push, direction, everything has to be perfect. The more you train your handstands, the less precise your mount has to be. Therefore, any time spent on perfecting your mount really is wasted, as you could have invested this time into getting your handstands more precise and better, and then you're going to be able to hold your handstand no matter what you do. Here's what I recommend for you to do. While you're still getting better at handstands, train your mounts for 5 minutes at the end of your technical handstand training session before you do your conditioning work. You get used to the idea of jumping up onto your hands and you start breaking the ice early. As your handstands get significantly better, you start combining these mounts that you've been practicing not too serious with your very serious handstand practice, and this time that other athletes invest into getting their mounts good and actually practicing their mounts, you don't have to do at all. Because the first, second, and third mount that you're going to attempt, you're already going to be able to hold. For these strength-based mounts, the non-dynamic mounts, it's a little bit different. I would recommend for you to start training those kind of mounts as early as possible. Before you even think about getting good at handstands, start training for your bent arm press to handstand and start training for your straddle press to handstand. Those kind of goals take a long time to build up to, so you want to start training them as early as you can. If you want to know how to put all of this together in workouts and in months-long programming, then check out the link down below for my handstand program, How to Handstand. You're going to learn everything that you need to know about handstand technique, progressions, stretches, conditioning, and of course, also handstand mounts. Working through this program is going to entirely change the way that you see handstands and the way that you train handstands. Your training is truly going to level up. If you haven't checked out these 2 videos, I would look at them next. Thanks for watching, subscribe, get to work.